Consciousness is the most boring thing. It's just a blank void that exists forever. It sounds boring to hell. The more I learn about it, the more boring it seems. It just sits there watching and doing what? It's a valid question. It is coming from a place of experience, not of consciousness, but of the mind. It is a deep, genuine question of longing, of seeking, of trying to connect with consciousness. Why should I search for this thing that I really cannot grasp with my mind, that I cannot understand? It's clear that from this, there is no understanding. It is just a conceptual interpretation of what consciousness is. When we say consciousness is boring, it has nothing to do with consciousness. It has something to do with how we are interpreting consciousness from outside, not experientially. It is an experiential question to reach consciousness, but it's coming from a place that has nothing to do with consciousness. Ideas of boredom, it is simply sitting there watching everything. It is doing nothing. These don't apply to consciousness because there is still duality involved. If there is duality, then it is not consciousness that we are talking about, it is the mind. Because mind is part of duality. Mind is what divides the subject and the object. Mind is what creates the concept of excitement, boredom, doing nothing, doing something. All doing belongs to the mind. And that doesn't mean consciousness is not doing anything. Now, to say consciousness is not doing anything is extending the duality of the mind to consciousness. To say that consciousness is doing nothing, it is simply sitting there watching everything, is extending the language of the mind to consciousness, extending duality to consciousness. Hence, the validity of the question. Why should I search for something that is so boring, that does nothing? What if that something you're searching for is not a thing, is not an entity, it is not something outside? What if it is you, not a part of you, not an expression of you, not your nature, not your reality, but you? What if that word consciousness is simply being used to make you understand that there is something to long for? There is an experience of truth, of reality, that is missing in your life, for which you are longing for. If we replace the word consciousness with you, it'll be confusing, because you already have a very strong brick-walled idea of you. It's a false idea, but it is extremely strong. So strong that if you try to replace that I directly with the true I, your mind goes crazy. It rejects the whole concept. Imagine if I were to start talking about the sky, the stars, the moon, the earth, everything that is happening around you, everything you see, everything you touch, everything you imagine. If I start referring to everything as a part of you, or you in a different form. You see a butterfly, and I say, that's not a butterfly, that is you imagining yourself as a butterfly. It will completely put you off. What is this? It doesn't even make sense. Oh, it's just nonsensical. Hence, there has to be a more neutral ground to start the inquiry from. To talk about something that connects everything. To talk about something that is universal, that is transcendental, that is not part of the duality of the mind. For now, let that something be mysterious. Long for it. Search for it. We need to call it something. Let's call it consciousness. Because consciousness is one of its fundamental qualities. But we are still not talking about the actual thing. We should never forget that a word will never completely capture truth, reality. Consciousness is one word. It just comes closest to expressing what that thing might be, or what it is capable of. It is capable of being conscious. It is capable of perceiving the totality of existence. But it is so much more. All the words belong to it. Words come from it. Ideas come from it. Then how can you trap it inside one word? If you try to trap it inside one word, of course it will be boring. You're trying to capture the ocean in a small cup. And you're wanting to define the ocean using the contents of the cup. Yes, the ocean is in the cup. When you taste that water in the cup, it tastes like the water in the ocean. It has the same properties. But what is the difference between the ocean and the water in the cup? Two very different things. It is not the content that determines the experience. It is the other way around. The contents in the cup, the contents in the water, in the ocean is the same. But it is the experience of that cup and the experience of the ocean that's what separates everything. When you are talking about consciousness, when you're thinking about consciousness, when you are reflecting about it, you are using a cup of the body, of the mind, and you're filling it with few ideas of consciousness, And because you are consciousness, you are aliveness, you have part of that consciousness within you, even in the deepest, most deluded parts of your mind, consciousness is still there. The cup has the content. So you know what consciousness is, but not in its totality, as an idea. Now, when you talk about it, when you think about it, when compared to everything else the mind is capable of, the vibrancy, the excitement, the pain, the pleasure, the duality, this cup seems, okay, there's nothing here. It's just plain water. There are so many different things that we can do with water. Why bother with plain water? And why do I have to put in so much effort to remove all the flavor and experience this plain water? Now, how are you going to experience it? That is the difference. If you just drank a cup of seawater and said, this is the experience of the ocean, I don't like it, then the problem is not the content. The problem is the lacking of experience. Because ocean is a totality. It's an altogether different experience. Consciousness is even beyond that description. Ocean water is still salty. It still has a negative impact on your body. You can't be there in the ocean all the time. You can't drink that water. You can't breathe there. But in consciousness, you can drink it. You can breathe it. You can swim in it. It is beyond any description because it is you at the end of the day. We are simply using the word consciousness so that your mind is not completely blown away to a point where it rejects the idea. The answer to the question of what is consciousness, why is it the way it is actually very simple. When all your thoughts are removed, even for a few moments, what remains is that boring thing that you're talking about. And it's not boring at all because it's you. When there is no duality, when there's nothing separating you, it's the most perfect state. It is a state of pure bliss, pure ecstasy. It cannot be put in words. You have to experience consciousness without the limitations imposed by the mind on it. Boredom, doing nothing, it is simply watching. These are all limitations imposed by the mind on the idea of consciousness, not even on consciousness. Consciousness itself is so transcendental, so pure, and so you, that when you experience it in its totality, you will realize that is what you have been searching for all your life. In all the experiences, you've been longing for this experience of consciousness in everything. Now, yes, it's a valid question. Why do I have to long for this pure experience? If consciousness is who I am, and I'm also able to enjoy the vibrancy of life, I'm also able to go through the experiences of life. Now, why should I bother about searching for consciousness? Now, the reason is, again, only intellectually, as a concept, as an idea, you know what consciousness is. Because you've not had an experience of consciousness as a totality, as your true nature, it can never remove your fear of death. It can never remove your fear of future. It can never remove your uncertainty. It cannot come to your rescue when you need it the most. When you fall down, it won't come to lift you up. You have to rely on your own mind for everything. You have to rely on thoughts for everything. You have to arrange your life in such a way that that arrangement itself should safeguard you, should protect you. But it's never a permanent thing. In the world of thoughts, in the world of dreams, no arrangement is permanent. It is momentary. There is a part of you that extends beyond time itself. Time is a small deviation, a detour that you've taken in your consciousness. Time cannot determine the beginning and the end of who you are. There is a part of you that extends beyond time. So the moment you realize, the moment even intellectually you try to grasp this, oh, this changes the whole thing. If I am bound to time, if I am a creature of time, then all my arrangements work. I can control things. You would, of course, not say, I don't want control. I don't want certainty. Well, try dropping all the control and certainty and just living like an animal. Just try even imagining a life of an animal, not just sitting and watching it live. Imagine being that animal. Which animal do you want to be? In which forest do you want to be? In which swamp do you want to be? Do you have a favorite place? We love animals. Unanimously, we can agree. Beautiful, wonderful creatures of existence. We love them. But do you want to trade your life with any animal? Like right now, pick one animal that is going about its life and say, I'm ready. I want to be that animal. Not as a concept. Actually, if I see a cow and it's grazing and it's inside a fence and I'm so excited about its life that I want to be that. You will not pick a single animal. If you truly, honestly introspect, you will say, it's better to be me. Why? Because you have a little more control than that animal. You've arranged your life in a way that you can be a little more certain about this landscape of reality.